the Grammy goes to Mr. Controversy, Eminem.
Eminem. Oh, he sold over like 90 million records. There's nobody that you can look at and you can point to and say that is equivalent. He's the bridge.
Eminem might be the most unlikely success story in music history. He was white in a black genre. He dropped out of school. His own father abandoned him before he could walk. His first album sold 1,000 copies, but somehow this kid became the best-selling rapper of all time. Over 220 million records sold. So how did a man that the entire music industry rejected become the one who rewrote its history? If you love stories about people who beat impossible odds, subscribe to this channel right now because we break down the most insane success stories every single week. Behind the scenes, Eminem's rise was built on a level of pain and obsession that most people cannot even imagine. A system where every rejection became fuel, every failure became a weapon, and every person who counted him out became a reason to keep going. And once you understand how it actually happened, you will never think about success the same way again. Marshall Mathers was born in 1972 in Missouri. His father left before Marshall turned 2. His mother could barely hold a job. They bounced between Missouri and Michigan for years. Public housing, relatives' couches. By 12, they landed in a tough, predominantly black neighborhood on the east side of Detroit. Marshall was one of 3 white kids on the block. He got bullied constantly, beaten badly enough to be hospitalised. Most experts on his life would have predicted he would end up nowhere, until he discovered rap, and that changed everything. Chapter 1: The Proving Ground. His uncle gave him an Ice-T album. Something clicked permanently. By 14, Marshall was rapping every day, writing verses in notebooks, battling kids in the school lunchroom. He started calling himself M and M. That name would become Eminem. But here is the crazy part. Every Saturday, Detroit's best underground rappers gathered at the hip-hop shop on 7 Mile Road. And Marshall, this pale kid in secondhand clothes, walked in and started challenging them. A white kid in a black art form in the toughest rap city in America. People laughed before he even opened his mouth. But he kept showing up and he kept winning. Battle by battle, he became someone the Detroit underground could not ignore. And this is where things get strange. Respect in the underground meant everything to Marshall, but it paid nothing. He dropped out after failing 9th grade 3 times, worked dishwashing and factory jobs, could barely feed his daughter Haley. And in 1996, he put everything into his first album, Infinite, a positive lyrical record where he tried to sound like everyone else. It sold 1,000 copies. Critics ignored it. Years of grinding answered with total silence. Chapter 2: The Rebirth. But what happened next shocked the entire industry. Instead of quitting, Marshall created an alter ego called Slim Shady. Unhinged, darkly hilarious, violently honest. He stopped trying to fit in and started weaponizing every ounce of pain from his life. The absent father, the poverty, the bullying, his toxic relationship with his mother. All of it became ammunition for lyrics nobody had ever heard before. In 1997, he entered the Rap Olympics in Los Angeles, finished second. But someone in that crowd worked for Dr. Dre. Dre heard the Slim Shady EP and said he had been looking for this talent his entire career. But this move had an unexpected side effect. Dre signed him. And in 1999, they dropped the Slim Shady LP. The lead single, My Name Is, exploded across every radio station in America. The album went triple platinum and won 2 Grammys. But it also triggered massive backlash. Parents called it dangerous. Activist groups protested his lyrics. Organizations demanded his music be banned. Eminem did not back down. He leaned harder into the controversy. Then came the Marshall Mathers LP in 2009. 1.76 million copies in the first week. Fastest selling rap album in history. Stan told the dark story of an obsessive fan who destroys himself. The real Slim Shady mocked celebrity culture and political correctness. Kim was so raw and violent about his ex-wife that radio stations refused to play it. Half the critics called him a genius, half called him a menace. But everybody was talking about him, and then he did something nobody expected. At the Grammys, with protests outside the building, Eminem performed Stan on stage with Elton John, a rapper accused of homophobia performing alongside one of the most famous gay artists alive. It shut down every critic in the room. But here is what made Eminem truly untouchable. The Eminem Show dropped in 2002. Without Me became a cultural phenomenon. Cleaning Out My Closet was a brutal open letter to his mother detailing years of neglect and abuse. Then came the film 8 Mile, loosely based on his life. For the soundtrack, he wrote Lose Yourself. It became the longest-running #1 hip-hop single in history and won the Academy Award for Best Original Song. Eminem became the first hip-hop artist ever to win an Oscar, a 9th grade dropout standing where Hollywood royalty stands. But Eminem's most dangerous battle had nothing to do with rap or critics or controversy. It had to do with what happened when the fame could not fill the emptiness inside him. Chapter 3, The Fall and the Return. His marriage to Kim collapsed twice. His best friend and D12 member Proof was shot and killed outside a Detroit nightclub in 2006. And he became severely addicted to prescription painkillers. Vicodin, Ambien, Valium, but here's the part that nobody expected. By the mid-2000s, the greatest rapper alive could barely function. In 2007, he nearly died from an overdose. Doctors said his organs were shutting down. He disappeared completely. No music, no appearances. The biggest name in rap went silent. But Eminem took things even further than anyone imagined. He got sober, replaced pills with running. 17 miles a day, rebuilt himself from nothing for the second time in his life. And he turned his addiction and recovery into music that was more honest than anything he had ever made. Recovery dropped in 2010 with Not Afraid as his comeback anthem, and Love the Way You Lie with Rihanna dominating charts worldwide. Best-selling album in the world that year. Then the Marshall Mathers LP2 with Rap God, where he rapped 157 syllables in 17 seconds and shattered a world record. Then Kamikaze, a surprise album where he fired back at every modern rapper who doubted him. Then Music to Be Murdered by. Every single album debuted at #1. He became the first artist in history with 10 consecutive #1 debuts on the Billboard 200. In 2022, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducted him. In 2024, The Death of Slim Shady debuted at #1. His greatest hits compilation, Curtain Call, has spent over 700 weeks on the charts, almost 14 years without leaving. 220 million records, 15 Grammys, an Oscar, 11 #1 albums, the best-selling rapper of all time, the best-selling artist of the entire 2000s decade across every genre. Eminem did not become the greatest by being the most talented rapper in every room. He became the greatest by being the last one still standing in every room. The world told Marshall Mathers he did not belong. Wrong color, wrong background, wrong side of the tracks. He did not argue, he just kept showing up to that club on 7 Mile Road until the world had no choice but to listen. And that is how a poor white kid from Detroit became the best-selling rapper of all time. If this story hit you, drop a like and subscribe. We tell stories like this every week. The next one is even crazier.